Hello there guys and welcome back to Blues Fans TV for my tactical preview ahead of Newcastle versus Chelsea taking place tomorrow on Saturday with the late kickoff at 5:30 PM UK time, of course at St James's Park. Before getting into the video though, I need you guys basically to do two different things. Now as you can see on screen quite clearly, OneFootball, our new sponsor, so thank you to them for that. And what I need you to do is basically go down below into the description of the video and download the OneFootball app via that link. It would help us out a lot. I'd appreciate it massively. It is the first link in the description. You can basically find anything on there that you need surrounding football, the latest transfer rumours, surrounding Chelsea really. Just pick your favourite team and then it will give you the latest transfer rumours around that. Of course, match day notification and just everything you need around football. Just, go down below, download it via that link. I would massively appreciate it. And then secondly, I need you to subscribe to Blues Fans TV. It's as simple as that. We're on our road to 100,000 subscribers and every single one of you counts. It's as simple as that. So please do subscribe and hit the notification bell. And while you're at it, and you wouldn't mind, please also drop a like on this video. That'd be class. But now, let's just get straight into the video. And, I will do it again a tiny bit different to last week. I will today talk through the lineup and approach that I personally will take against Newcastle, as well as what I expect Frank Lampard to do. Before talking about the press conference by Lampard itself, actually, and any injury updates that we did get, I will just mention as we go through the lineup because it would just make sense. Now, personally, I actually don't think there will be that many changes from our win over Burnley last week. But of course, we don't know what exactly, happens in training all week. So, that could, of course, influence the starting 11. But in goal, of course, it will and has to remain Kepa. That will stay the same for both Lampard and myself. But coming to the two centre-backs, now, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Lampard actually just stuck with Antonio Rudiger as now the left centre-back and Andreas Christensen as the right centre-back, simply because, we kept a clean sheet and they both did pretty well against Burnley. And Newcastle aren't all that different. The kind of game will probably be rather similar to the game against Burnley at Stamford Bridge. Myself, I would still like to see Rudiger and Tomori together. It's just that combination that I've wanted to see ever since Rudiger returned from injury. And they've not played together in a back four just yet, ever since that happened. But I would totally understand, or I can totally understand why Lampard wouldn't change it. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure what I would go with. I mean, especially as I, unlike Lampard, haven't seen how everyone trained and stuff throughout the entire week. On screen, I'll have Rudiger and Tomori, like I said. But like I say, I wouldn't be mad if it's Christensen again. What about Zuma, you could ask? I'm not sure, to be honest. But for me, it's, either finally seeing that combination that I mentioned or sticking with the same that we had against Burnley. I think it's those two options for me personally. At the fullbacks, for the fullback positions, I mean, I don't think there will be any changes, and I don't think there should be any changes either. REECE James, who obviously just signed a new 5.5 year deal yesterday, is a must start at the moment. He's arguably our biggest weapon right now. We'll get into that a little bit more a little bit later. And even though, Alonso is probably back fit, it wasn't mentioned in the press conference, but he probably should be back fit now. I guess I would stick with Azpilicueta, and I think Frank Lampard will do the same. Don't think Emerson at the moment warrants a start. Definitely not for Lampard, and even I would personally probably not go for it. So yeah, REECE James on the right, Azpi on the left is what I think I will go for, and what I think Lampard will go for. But then coming to the midfield, and I guess formations as well, I would still go for what I always want to see, a proper 4-3-3. Possibly what we went for against Burnley, which was a slight bit more attacking than I usually talk about, but probably even more so than as I usually speak about it, with one of them at the base. Of course, Jorginho, he has to start in that system. It is without question. And then in my ideal, it would be Kovacic just ahead of him to his right, but not as far ahead of him as, for example, Ross Barkley was against Burnley in that position, because I personally still believe that Kovacic can give us more from that area of the pitch than we had, against Burnley, whether that was from Barkley or from Mason Mount. I just think Kovacic offers more as a whole, and that's why I would go for him. But then the question is, do I go for Barkley or Mount in the remaining slot of my midfield three? Because Barkley, in all honesty, as much as I don't rate him generally, and as much as I don't even like him much, he was the better out of him and Mount last week. He really was. But I still don't trust him. I just don't trust him. I mean, one good game just isn't enough after poor performances for basically over a year. Every time he's played, he was poor for over a year almost. I mean, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but he never was good as such in that period that I could remember, except in pre-season, of course, but, that doesn't matter. So I'll personally still stick with Mason Mount. What is Lampard going to do, though? I'm not sure, in all honesty. I'm not sure. I mean, we don't even know whether N'Golo Kante is back fit or not. I mean, I wouldn't start him either way. You know that by now. Some of you hate me for it. Some of you actually rate it. But, none of the journalists asked about it, so we don't actually know. I mean, Lampard said after Burnley that Kante is not one you leave out when he's fit. So I'm not even sure whether he would start him if he was fit. Like I said, I wouldn't. but he made it sound like it was more precautionary. It wasn't a deep thing. Kante didn't have to stop training when it happened. He just said he felt it and, you know, basically reported that after training. So he probably is back fit. Whether Lampard then starts him or not, I don't know. But we currently have no, you know, guarantee whether Kante is fit or not. But, you know, the boss after the Burnley game just said that he really, really liked the performance last week. So I actually think he might well stick with the same midfield three as we had against Burnley. So Jorginho at the base, and then Ross Barkley to his right, and then Mason Mount to his left. You know, but them two on the same height rather than in my team with Mason Mount a little bit higher than Kovacic, of course. I could be completely wrong, and he could go for something completely different because we're away from home. So maybe he sees it as more differently to the Burnley game as possibly I see it. Because Newcastle are just as happy to play like Burnley, you know, did at Stamford Bridge. Newcastle are very happy to do that at home as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. And then I guess we'll just have to see again how it goes. And if Barkley plays well again, maybe even I have to consider starting him in the game after that, I guess. But as I'm talking about midfielders though, we finally got some good news, you know, touching on the press conference. Got some good news in Ruben Loftus-Cheek, as he is now training with the youth teams and might actually be back in full first team training after, you know, a little winter break in early February, with Lampard actually saying he might not be far away, which of course is unbelievable news, and let's just hope that actually stays true and there's no other setbacks. But then coming to the front three, of course, that was it for the midfielders. Pulisic, you know, he's doing well with his recovery according to Lampard and according to the media, but he's still expected to be out for another couple of weeks according to Lampard. And that means that there can't and won't be any changes in the front three. I mean, we hopefully won't start Pedro, and I certainly wouldn't start Pedro. So I think both myself and Frank Lampard are going to go for Willian on the left, Hudson on the right, and of course Tammy Abraham up front. There's not much more to say on those three, in all honesty. That's just not much more to say on it. As for the approach to the entire game, though, to talk a little bit more tactics and just, you know, how I want us to actually play, as this is the tactical preview. Now, if we play like we did in the second half against Burnley, I absolutely guarantee that we will win. You know, that was an unbelievable performance. We just didn't take our chances. But like, we should have scored like 4 goals at least in the second half against Burnley. We were really, really good. Of course, Burnley weren't great, but you know, you shouldn't expect Newcastle to be anything special either. It's about getting that first goal though, and then getting that 2-0. I think once we have that, we're safe, and then the flow properly comes into it. But if we can get somewhere close to where we were against Burnley in the second half, especially when after we made it 3-0, I think, you know, then we're going to have a good game tomorrow. But using REECE James, unbelievable crossing, of course, is the main thing that we have to do at the moment. I mean, it is our biggest weapon. It is crazy that a 20-year-old from right back is kind of our biggest attacking weapon, but he is. He really, really is. Like, there's these compilations on Twitter and YouTube, everywhere going around. His crosses are just ridiculous. I wish we had someone on the left that could do similar. Emerson seemingly can't. Alonso obviously can't. And Aspie, even though he assisted Hudson-Odoi's goal last week, did it on his right foot. He's playing as a right-footed player on the left-hand side, and his left foot isn't actually that good. So, you know, we really need to use REECE James's crossing, and fair play to him. What a weapon that is. And then Tammy Abraham, of course, just needs to actually get on those crosses and then also convert them, because that's what he failed to do, you know, a couple of too many times against Burnley, in my opinion, also fuming at himself. But we also need to get more players into the box. He was better against Burnley than previously, but we still need more players in the box. The opposition winger, like the opposite winger rather, has to be at the far post, and we need one of the midfielders, you know, whether it's Mount, Barkley, Kovacic, whoever plays there, we need one of those midfielders to be there, you know, to be in the box with Tammy. Of course, that, I guess, gives a slight nudge to Ross Barkley because of his physique, and he's much taller than Mason Mount and Kovacic. But still, you know, one of them needs to be in there with Tammy Abraham. Not always necessarily to get on the crosses, but then the defenders can't just mark Tammy Abraham. They also need to, you know, make sure to mark that midfielder. And that just makes things a lot easier for Tammy to get on the end of the crosses, and then once he gets on them, to also convert them, because it's much easier to direct the header, pardon me, when you're not, you know, kind of just clashed into by 2 defenders at the same time. You know, we just have to, absolutely have to do those things. Other than that, work hard, make a lot of runs like we did in the second half against Burnley. Open space for your teammates with those runs. Keep the passing quick and precise. Shoot when there's an opening, because we don't do that enough. And of course, you know, most importantly, take our chances. You know, we really, really need to take our chances, because this game is really big. As well as, of course, you know, remaining focused for the whole game, especially if we can't kill it off like we did against Burnley. There we did kill it off, so it was fine not taking the chances later. And, you know, I'm not going to say we weren't that focused, but it was fine at that point. We just had them done. But if we can't kill it off, we need to stay focused for the entire game. And ideally, we also defend set pieces a bit better than usual. But let's be honest, that's just not going to happen, is it? And like I said, it is a really big game for us tomorrow. It is a really, really big game for us, because United, who are in 5th, currently 5 points behind us, play at Anfield against Liverpool on Sunday. So getting the 3 points tomorrow could Almost certainly, because let's be honest, we have to expect Liverpool to beat United, even if at Old Trafford it ended in a 1-1 draw. We just absolutely have to expect Liverpool to beat them. So if we win tomorrow, we could have that just could give us a very important cushion in our fight for top 4. The only problem being that in recent weeks, whenever we were in such a situation, that's exactly usually when we did manage to get the win. So let's hope that is a little bit different tomorrow. But that was really it about Chelsea. And quickly touching on a press conference. Now, before Lampard, there was a press conference about the club working very hard to combat anti-Semitism in football, and at Chelsea in particular, which of course we strongly support at Blues Fans TV. There were people from certain organisations there as well. They didn't broadcast that part of the press conference on the Chelsea app, so I'm not 100% sure on everything that was said, but that took place, and I think that's generally very important. Lampard then also ruled out any sort of move away from Chelsea for Ross Barkley this window, whether that's a loan or a permanent move, which of course there were rumours about him possibly going to West Ham on loan. And then it is actually said that referees will handle VAR differently this weekend and actually use the monitors by the pitch rather than just relying on the referee in the VAR office in their ear, which Lampard stated that he's in favour of, and personally I am as well. But that was really from the press conference. And I'm just quickly touching on Newcastle as well, because we're still playing a game of football here. It's not just about our side, it also depends on our opponent. And they actually sit in a pretty decent 13th place in the table at the moment, on 26 points from the 22 games played so far, and with a goal difference of -13, scoring just 21 actually, and conceding 34, which neither of those stats is particularly great at all. But even though they are only, I guess, 5 points above the relegation zone, they're still in a decent position in the table. Like I said, going to St James's Park is always tricky, especially for us. We don't generally do so well there. Even though we won there last season, it generally is very tricky. And Steve Bruce is in charge there. You know what you're going to get. Basically a team that doesn't even want to have the ball, because except against Burnley, they always have less possession than their opponent. Always. And they also pretty much always sit just very deep. But they still got the odd unexpected result here and there. They beat Spurs away from home early in the season, beat Manchester United at home, and then even got a point against Man City not too long ago. So, they do get the odd, unexpected result, like I said. And even their recent results, I mean, they kind of fit into where they are in the table, as you can see on screen. Also, as you can see in the One Football app. The link is down below. Please download it. That'd be massively appreciated. They beat Palace, they beat Southampton, a draw against Wolves, but then heavy defeats to Leicester and United, as well as losing to Everton at home. It kind of just puts them roughly around the middle of the table, possibly just below it, which is where they are. So I guess it all really makes sense. They are facing a fair few injury problems, but they did actually get a big boost by the fact that they're, I guess, biggest star man almost, or most dangerous player, in my opinion at least, Saint-Maximin, who also caused us a bit of trouble when we beat them 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. He's back from injury anyways, and, he should be fine to start tomorrow, and that, of course, will be a fairly big boost for them. They do, like I said, they do have a lot of other injuries, but, him coming back is a big boost for them either way. They do generally have a fair few good players anyway, and that, along with it never being easy to beat them at their place, it will be a difficult game, and it will mean that we will have to be absolutely on it if we want to take home all of the 3 points. Especially, as Newcastle will be very happy to sit deep and defend at home just as much as they do away. Like I said, like Burnley did at Stamford Bridge, Newcastle will be happy to do that at their place. Meaning our usual slightly higher scoring and better form on the road probably won't come into effect that much. It won't be like another Wolves game that we win 5-2. That just doesn't, we won't have that away at Newcastle. It just won't happen. But my score prediction is still going to be a win. I hope that 3-0 win over Burnley, even if we still didn't take anywhere near enough of our chances, will still give us the confidence and that belief that we're going to be able to break them down, score our goals, and ideally even keep a clean sheet. So I'm going to predict a 2-0 win. Maybe a 2-1. I'm not 100% sure of that one yet. But I'm going to predict a 2-1 or 2-0 win for the Blues. But to be honest, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in. Of course, thank you to One Football again for sponsoring our video. Go down below into the description, the first link in the description. Download the app if you haven't already. That'd be massively appreciated. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to Blues Fans TV if you're not yet, because we're on our way to 100,000 subscribers. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell button so you don't miss any of our future videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the shelves, and I'll see you when I see you.